Hey guys, your favorite attorney, Domonique Price here, and I know you're probably wondering, what all do I need to know about protecting my brand through a trademark? But the very first thing that we need to consider is, what even is a trademark? Simply put, a trademark is a form of providing legal protection over a brand, specifically meaning a brand name, a logo, a slogan or tagline. You can even trademark colors. You can trademark sounds like the NBC chime. You can even protect colors. Think of the UPS brown or the Tiffany blue. So why is trademarking so important for your business or your brand that you're launching or have already launched? Simply put, it's because it gives you authority federally of your brand and your ownership. Think about it like this. If you got your social media accounts, you secured your entity like an LLC, nonprofit, or you have your domain name, none of those actually protect your branding from somebody in another location from using your exact same name. So again, remember, a URL basically is an address on the internet. A entity protects you legally as you're doing business, and having social media accounts just helps direct people more to your business and your brand. So they're great and they're essential, but when we talk about brand protection, they don't really help you have an authority of ownership. Also, they won't help you if there's somebody who's infringing upon you on social media. You'll need your trademark to be able to assert any type of digital media claim. So guys, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are an influencer or an artist, these are the reasons why it's so critical for you to protect your trademark. Number one, like I said before, it gives you federal protection all across the United States and any other country that you file your trademark in. Number two, it stops infringers from being able to copy or use your mark without your permission, and gives you the ability to simply send a demand letter to cease and desist, as opposed to having to go through proper litigation as your first primary form of getting them to stop infringing. Number three, and might actually be the most critical, and the reason why I tell all business owners they need to have a trademark, it is money making, okay? When you think about brands and you think about some of the biggest names that you've heard, I'm talking about the Googles, the Apples, the Nikes, they understand that trademarks are an actual asset. They're an asset for your business, but more importantly, there's value that's attached to those assets. Think about a company like Google or Nike. Their trademarks for their brand names alone are worth billions of dollars. You heard me, billions with a B. I'm talking about not just 1 billion, but multiple billions of dollars, not for their business methods, not for the products or the services that they provide, but strictly for their brand itself and what that global recognition is with those brand names and those logos and slogans. So when you think about that Nike, the Just Do It, or the swoosh, know that they're literally ranking in billions of dollars just from their trademarks alone. And you could too if you understood the importance of trademarking, and trademarking as early as you possibly can. So I've already touched on this a little bit, but if you're just getting started, you're probably like, oh my God, what all do I need to protect as a business owner? I have a ton of different things. Start with the basics, okay? So as an entrepreneur, or business owner, or influencer, what all should you be protecting through a trademark? First and foremost, this should be a no-brainer, but just in case, you guys, because this is a safe place, you have to protect your brand or business name first and foremost, okay? Then secondly, you'll want to go in and protect your logo. This is really, really critical if you are a clothing or an e-commerce business, because there's a ton of infringement that happens on Beyonce's internet, okay? And like I mentioned before, you also can protect a slew of other things in your business as well. And you'll want to protect different brand names or collection names that you add to your company further down the line. Think of a company like Apple or a company like Pepsi or Mercedes. They own multiple trademarks for all of the different iterations of their business. So when you think of Apple, they own iTunes, they own the brand name for Mac. They, when you think about a company, when you think about companies like a Pepsi, they literally have a ton of different trademarks for all of their slew of different products that we see on the shelves today. And one of the main things that I tell people is don't get overwhelmed thinking about the fact that you have a ton of different products or names that you potentially want to protect. We always start with the basics, and that is what we're pushing out with every single one of our services or our products, and that is the essentials of our branding. And again, that's your business name, your logo, or your tagline that you're putting in your business and your service. So a question I don't get as often, but I really think we should be thinking about it more as we're thinking about growing global empires, and that is, where should I trademark? As I mentioned before, in the United States, when you trademark, you're doing it through the United States Patent and Trademark Office. This is quintessential if you are operating or doing business in the United States. The very first trademark that you need to secure is in your home country. But that doesn't mean you need to stop there. A lot of times business owners neglect to actually protect their business and their brands in the countries that they also do business in. A little example here, who remembers or who knows of the brand Supreme? Supreme was a global phenomenon, especially in the urban and hip hop community, and they sold all type of luxury goods, primarily in the skater lifestyle brand. Well, they did their due diligence. They had their trademark in the United States for their logo, for their brand, for their slogan, right? Ha ha ha. But what they neglected to do was to protect their trademark in one of their largest markets, which is Japan. So what did some entrepreneurs do in Japan? They noticed that the trademark wasn't protected in the country, and they went ahead and opened up a parody store of Supreme, and there was so much money that Supreme ended up having to spend to fight the litigation to get them to cease and desist use of their name. Had they have gone ahead at the front end and protected themselves in the countries that they primarily do business in, they would have saved themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars that they would have been able to put back into the business. This is why it's so essential when you start to do business in other countries, you sit and think about if you're going to continue to grow in that market, but more importantly, would you be upset if somebody came up and did anything similar or copied your brand all the way? So use Supreme as your example. So when you start to think about going off and protecting yourself in other countries, here are some things and some factors that you should consider. What are the countries that you are marketing in? What are the countries that you have a high level of sales in? Then if you want to drill down a little bit more, if you are receiving more than about 20 to 50K in revenue from that country, you definitely want to protect it there. If you are spending between like 5, 10, 15,000 or more in ad spend or marketing in that country, you want to protect it. And third, lastly, if you have a manufacturer in that particular country, you most definitely want to protect it there as well. Another little tidbit is that if you are manufacturing goods in other countries, one of the main reasons why you want to protect yourself in that particular country is because a lot of times manufacturers will begin to sell and offer your products to other people, but having your trademark just as the same way as you have it in the United States is going to make sure that no one can use or operate your brand in that country with the goods and services that you sell. This is key if you are a product developer. Last but not least, one of the questions that I get all the time is, okay, Attorney Price, when should I actually trademark my brand or my business? And honestly, there is no right or wrong time, but what I will say is that you definitely want to make sure that you protect your trademark sooner than later. One of the main reasons why you want to do your trademark application sooner than later is because it's all about dates of filing the application. So say, for example, if someone over in Alaska files a trademark for a brand that is similar and or the exact same as yours, but you've been doing business with the name for longer, they're going to get priority because they filed first. Then you would then have to go through this long drawn out opposition process and spend tens of thousands of dollars to fight it in trademark appeals to make sure that you can still retain rights and or co-ownership of the brand. If you were to have filed first, you automatically get more authority, and it's the opposer that would have to defend and make an argument for why they should be able to use the mark as well. This is critical, you guys. You don't want to end up spending tens of thousands of dollars to fight for a brand that's yours, that you created, that's your creative genius. And you want to make sure that no one in the country is able to say, hey, I was using it first, and then you have to sit there and argue and go back and forth, provide tons of evidence. One of the other reasons why you want to trademark your brand sooner than later, the full trademark process is pretty lengthy and long. Please understand the full trademark process from submission of application to trademark registration can literally take over a year. So if you were thinking, hey, I'm not going to start really monetizing or marketing this brand for another, 6 to 9 months, and you're like, I'll trademark it then, you may want to caution yourself that you want to go ahead and start that trademark application now, because it is going to be a lengthy process. One of the other reasons why we say one of the other reasons why I suggest getting your trademark application started sooner than later is because one of the other reasons why I say that you should trademark your brand sooner than later is because if you're thinking about getting distribution, if you are thinking about licensing, if you are even considering selling on different app stores or third-party sites, a lot of them now are buckling down like Amazon, and they're requiring that you have a trademark for your products or services before you can use their database to sell to their audience. Or if you know that you want to get your products in Whole Foods or in Target, you're going to need your trademark before they're even going to look at potentially putting your products and services on their site or in their stores. So now that you know a little bit more information about trademarking and you understand that you probably should get started right this moment, why should you let your favorite attorney and Price Law help you with the trademark process? I'm gonna give you really one important reason. Because I'm an actual attorney. A lot of these online services that offer to file your trademark for very cheap, inexpensive cost, I'm not gonna name any names here, but they don't do any type of due diligence with you, don't sit down and have a one-on-one conversation before filing, and a lot of times there's misfilings done because the wrong classification is actually submitted. So with working with Price Law, you're working with an experienced attorney. I've literally worked with Fortune 500 companies, NBA teams, athletes, influencers, artists. I know what I'm doing when it comes to trademarking your brand, but more importantly, you get to have a one-on-one conversation about not just this particular trademark, but your overall brand protection strategy and journey as you move forward in growing your empire. So if you know that you're ready to get your trademark application started, let Price Law help you today. I really hope this information has been helpful. Please like, subscribe, and submit a comment down below if you have any questions about the trademarking process. See you later.